What's going on, everybody? It's Thomas here, and I'm here with Frank.
Hey, everybody.
And we're back for a quick non-spoiler review for The Flash.
No spoilers. The last time we planned on not spoiling anything with Spider-Man, that didn't last long. So this one, no spoilers.
Yeah, I'm going to try my best. Oh my God. It's going to be rough because there's so much I want to say about this movie. And I got to see it before Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse. So yeah, let's give it a shot.
All right. So let's go with, we're not going to do obviously the timer or anything like that because that wouldn't help you at all. Wouldn't help anybody start trying to avoid spoilers. But I want you to kind of give your non-spoiler 1 minute review for this. We're not going to time it at all. That way you can kind of...
Gosh, this is going to be so... All right, let's try. I mean, trying to not spoil everything and still talk for... I could probably give a 20-second non-spoiler review.
Let's go with that. But I want to hear about action. I want to hear about story. I want to hear about acting. I think is very important in this one.
Yes.
So let's see how it goes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. I've already put a TikTok video out there about this, but I was fully ready to boycott this, you know, being from Hawaii and hearing what Ezra Miller did in Hawaii and all these things. Like, I was like, this is terrible. I'm not going to go see this. And then Warner Brothers was like, here's a free ticket. So I was like, okay, I'll go watch it for a free ticket. Like, but let's be honest, I probably was going to go see it anyway. And yeah, so I was really on the fence about the Ezra Miller of it all, but they are so captivating. Just the range of emotions they can portray is like insane. There's moments of like pure comedy, just cracking up, just fully LOLing out loud, which is kind of redundant, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just, you know, there's the sadness. You know, I don't think this is a spoiler, but if you read any of the comics, the thing that turns Barry Allen into the Flash is his mother's death. And that kind of pushes him forward to become the man he is and ultimately leads to him getting powers. That plays a very important role in the movie. And he does such a good job of just kind of showing loss. He also does a good job of showing nervousness and shyness. Sorry, they do a great job of showing nervousness and shyness. And they also do a good job of like leading the movie. Like overall, like they're a really good leading person. And so it just is all around. Yeah. Ezra Miller, fantastic. Let's see. Story. The story moves and it starts cooking from the beginning of it. Yeah. Through the end. It's just, there's action. There's something interesting going on. And the action when it's done, wowee, like hold tight. Cool. It's so cool. Oh God. Just some of the way they depict the Speed Force and just like him move or them moving fastly. Well, I guess the characters, him moving fastly through the world is super freaking cool.
Yes.
Like, yeah. Like,
how much slow motion did they use? Because that's a problem with Flash. They always tend to go slow motion on everything.
Yes. There's a lot of slow motion for sure. But there's also, it's also done pretty unique. Okay. It kind of reminds me of, you know, that X-Men movie with Evan Peters, Quicksilver?
Yes.
Where that scene is like
infamous.
Unique.
Yeah. It kind of like set up the standard.
Exactly. There is some of that where you're like, oh, wow, they're using slow motion in a very unique way. Okay. But there's a certain point at the beginning of the movie where Barry has to go and help. And just that initial start to the Speed Force of it all and what it looks like just at a ground level is so freaking cool and well done. The suit to me looks badass. They crushed it designing that suit. And yeah, I don't know. I think I kind of jumped around everywhere, but it ends in it ended in a very satisfying way.
All right. So now we're going to go back a step and we're going to go through each section with a little bit more depth. We're going to start with the actors. So you're right. We have Ezra. They have all kinds of talent. It's just the outside of films that makes it a little more difficult. But within the movie, you think Ezra performed well?
Yes, totally. If you can divorce the actor from the art, like you're like, okay. And I try to actively go into every movie show thinking that like, hey, you know, the person who they are in their real world is not who they're trying to be here.
Mhm.
Like I try very hard to like divorce my mind from the artist and the art. And yeah, they do a great job.
Okay.
He does a great Barry Allen, I think. I mean, not totally comic accurate, I feel like, but really interesting and very like awesome to kind of see how they move through the world. Like I guess I don't think this is a spoiler either, right? We get 2 flashes in the trailer
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're very different and it works really well.
Does Ezra capture both personalities separately well, or does it feel like just clothing changed?
No, it feels like 2 unique people.
That's cool. Ooh, that's talent right there.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, well, you guys have heard us how much we praise Jonathan Majors, and here we are today. So they're 2 different things. Sometimes you have to understand that.
Right.
All right, Michael Keaton obviously is the other part of this. It's really selling this movie. What's it like watching 89 Batman in action?
Dude, Michael Keaton in this movie, like, he's so damn good.
Yeah.
So damn. Michael Keaton is a standout in this movie. And I also want to say, like, the other standout is definitely Sasha Kaye. I think I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name, but damn, there's a dynamic there. There's a dynamic between, Michael Keaton's Batman and Ezra Miller's Flashes, and all of them are so good. Like, Michael Keaton is a badass. The action.
Does he still feel badass? Because he's an old man.
Yes, he still feels badass. And if you've seen any of the recent trailers, you also see that Ben Affleck's Batman is in this too. And they also feel similar and yet different at the same time as well.
Okay.
So it's really cool. Like, obviously, I think Ben Affleck's Batman is one of the hardest hitting, the most brutal, one of the strongest Batman we've ever seen on screen. But Michael Keaton kind of holds up with him in a way.
Yeah, I can see that because his Batman isn't necessarily like, he's got more finesse to it, but he's also not the most finesse of the Batmans out there. Michael Keaton was, God, his movies are so good. Like him and Jack Nicholson going toe to toe. It's so good. So I'm excited to see him in action. Yeah,
there's certain things that happen in the movie, and those things with Michael Keaton's Batman got the loudest cheers out of the whole theater.
That's kind of the thing that might get me to not boycott this movie, is that part, is seeing Michael Keaton. It was a smart move on the studio's part. Yes. Well, we see from all the advertisements how much Batman is all over the trailers and all over the posters. It's like, okay, how much of this is a Flash movie? How much of it is? That's a good question for you. How much of this is a Flash movie and how much is this a Batman / Supergirl movie? It's primarily a Flash movie. Okay. So I do keep it. Yes. Yeah, I do appreciate that. If you're a Flash fan, you're gonna, even if you can take away the Ezra Miller of it all, you're gonna love this movie because it is definitely a Flash movie first and foremost. Does it feel like a Snyderverse movie? Because that might be a downside for some people like myself. There is some Snyder cut undertones there. Okay. Maybe a little bit, maybe just tones. I wouldn't say undertones. There's some tones there, but man, I laughed a lot in this movie. Okay. Like, I laughed a ton, probably more than Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse. That makes sense, because anytime you did happen to chuckle in a Spider-Verse movie, it's because Flash said something usually. So yes, focusing on that character makes more sense for that. Yeah, he's funny. I mean, every character gets like a funny line. Okay, that's good. Mm-hmm. Now, Sasha is playing Supergirl, and Supergirl is standing in for Superman in the normal Flashpoint story, which this is based off of. Do you think Supergirl was the right choice for this? 100% yes. Okay. After seeing the movie, Sasha Kaye was again a standout for me. Mm-hmm. I was not expecting to like her or be on board with her role as much as I was. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, she's so good. And I after the movie, I was like, I get it. I know I get why they casted her. And Henry Cavill even praised her. So, I mean, that's impressive right there. I think myself and for many others, we know the Superman that we were promised. Just in general, we're sad to see Henry Cavill go, but also the Superman that's in Flashpoint is such a cool version of Superman. Is there something unique about this Supergirl, or is it just that it's Supergirl? Let's see. I'm trying not to spoil it in case somebody hasn't read the comic books, which I think everybody knows the comic book story, but just to be safe. Yeah, I mean, no, it's pretty, like, if you read the comic books, you know the story. Okay.
There's not too much deviation there. Um, yeah, no, I mean, she feels very familiar, yet unique in her own way. So I think they
Okay.
did a super, super awesome job. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to action. I think like if we're looking at the last one was Black Adam. Black Adam had some really cool action scenes. Some things didn't make sense because of course it didn't. Rock was just trying to force himself into the DC. But how was the
Yes.
fight scenes in this? Were they elevated beyond recent DC movies or about par?
Oh my God. Yeah. God,
Oh,
so good.
Whole different ball game, huh?
Oh my God. It was, I wouldn't say it's elevated because I mean, the most recent DC movie for me that I loved was the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And I loved the Suicide Squad. I thought it was so
Super
damn good. But this one has like, it feels like it has a bigger budget and you need to, because the Flash's powers, like you need special effects to really make it cool. So, oh my God, this was just the use of the powers in this movie. Oh, and just like seeing the team that's kind of assembled and them all fighting on the same side, it really freaking works. And it makes you feel like, damn it, if we only got this more in a Justice League. Oh,
Yeah.
I just wish we got more of the Zack Snyder Justice League. But the tones of this movie it's serious. It feels like there's stakes, but also there's fun and playful moments. Like, he just does such a good job of balancing it. Yeah. Oh man, it's worth it.
So so that's compared to Suicide Squad. What about you saw Shazam too?
Yes.
Or you probably saw Black Adam as well. What do you think about compared to one of those more CGI heavy version of a DC movie? How does it compare with those?
So, yeah, I mean, I still think the action's better. I thought the
Okay.
action was good in Black Adam. It was definitely good, but for me, it kind of is like a burger, right? Like for me, all the ingredients need to be good to have the perfect burger. You could have an awesome patty or you could have awesome buns, but not like the patty. Like this kind of had all of the pieces in place so that the action was just phenomenal. And Black Adam had good action, but maybe it was for me the story or like some of just like weird things that just didn't make sense in it that didn't quite hit for me as hard. But everything that they put in together, like people are raving about Across the Spider-Verse, the best comic book movie I've ever seen. Like, when James Gunn said this is the best comic book movie he's ever seen, I can kind of see what he's saying.
Damn, son. Like if I think you and me listen to our Spider-Man review. I think you and me kind of are on the same page when it comes to our opinions on movies. For the most part, I mean, we're both huge Cats fans. And so I'll have to, you're getting me more and more hyped for a movie that I didn't even plan on seeing. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like, is it the best movie ever? No, but in our genre, and you need to start at DC movies from the original Michael Keaton Batman. Like if you start with that and take all of that into account, it might be one of the, in quotes, best comic book movie ever. Or not, up there. One of the best.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know about ever.
Maybe Endgame made me feel ways that nobody has. So don't.
Yeah, I know. And you're so right. It's just different. It's different than Endgame. I don't know if that's too spoiler. I want to say something, but I'm not sure if it's too spoilery.
Let's play it safe and then not mention.
Okay, let's not mention it. Let's not mention it. Then. Okay.
All right. I want to ask one more question out of you from actor's standpoint, and this is molding into the story now. So we have General Zod back as clearly like a bad guy. Does he feel like a threat like he did in the first Superman movie?
Yes, big time. And
I was a little concerned he would feel flaccid compared to like we've already seen this guy beaten, and so I wasn't sure.
But we don't have Henry Cavill's Superman, and I think the way they approach it is really well done, really classy, really respects Henry Cavill's Superman, but it still makes Zod and the army that Zod shows up with, the Kryptonians that are with him, like, it feels pretty insurmountable for the team.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts on this movie before we call it?
Go see it. Go see it. Yeah. You do need to do a little bit of groundwork. I think if you haven't watched the Michael Keaton Batman and you don't really know that story or the vibe of it, I suggest you go back and watch at least the first movie And then you should probably watch, pick your poison, I guess. Watch the Justice League or Zack Snyder's Justice League cut just to be familiar with that Flash. I think you need those baselines to kind of really appreciate everything.
Okay.
And then there's going to be so much Easter eggs and kind of deep thought we can go into once the movie comes out.
Okay.
But this movie, you're not going to get everything by watching it once.
Okay. We'll do a follow-up one maybe where we go into the deep stuff. But we'll give everybody a week to watch this. Right now, we're doing this way beforehand. Final thing, real quick. If you've read the comic book, is it as rewarding as a comic book? Does it hint on the comic book stuff at all? Just because it's probably my favorite comic book story.
Damn, I know. I sound like a fair weather fan. I have not read the books, but I have watched the HBO Max when it was HBO Max, movies and everything. I think this is better than that. Although there are certain elements that I did like about it, but I guess I also realized a lot of the real world constraints that they were under. So based on that, man, they did such a good job. And I liked it better than the animated movie I watched.
Okay. That sounds good. All right, guys, there you go. You hear from Thomas. You and I are going to go watch this now, okay? So everybody
run,
head over to the theaters and see this. That is pretty cool. And then let us know what you guys think over on our Twitter account, CA Podcast Live. And let's get those listens up. Tell your folks about it. We want to donate as much food as possible to our food banks. So
absolutely.
Yep. Thanks for hanging with us, guys. We'll see you next time.
Right.
Bye.
Aloha.